Good Tuesday morning, Market Chameleons and everyone joining us for the first time. Thanks for coming by and checking out the Market Chameleon pre-market show, minus the main man, Dimitri, who's still on holiday to the end of the week. Before we get started with our special guest, Adam, we're going to go through the disclaimer. Market Chameleon, Adam, myself, none of us are registered investment advisors. So read the disclaimer and realize that if you have questions, please consult a financial licensed professional. Let that up for a second. Awesome job. And there he is, joining us all the way from beautiful Bradenton, Florida, away from his home of Costa Rica. And he's still joining us for 2 weeks. He's been here helping my brother. You can guess again if you haven't been on the show before. I know Gene, I don't think has been on. Who do you think's older, Gene? Adam or myself?
Bro, I think the oldest thing is that creepy doll you have in the bottom left-hand corner, dude. What the heck is going on over there?
It's funny. Our in-house Swami's never mentioned that. Everyone's picked up on the deer. I don't know if anyone's picked up on this. This is a custom surfboard signed by a bunch of musical acts. But down there is anyone want to guess what it is? But I'll bring it up. It's
no, don't show us it, man. The bad juju, dude.
It was a bust. It was a bust of.
Oh my god, dude!
Jesus, my daughter did in like 3rd grade, and it's been used like 5 or 6 times for Halloween events by her, and but it sits there. No one's ever noticed it. You are very, very interested in what's going on in the background, which is great. You've brought a lot to this.
Oh
week.
My god, dude!
Really enjoyed you being here. So I did have something to share now that we're on gross topics. This was something that about 5 minutes ago, after we first got on, I noticed this was on my leg.
Yeah.
Any guesses?
Oh my god, dude. Are you kidding me, man? Oh my god, dude.
That looks like a tick, right?
Oh my god. Suckling on your leg. Oh
yeah.
God. What are you doing? What is this? What?
Why can't
2 creepy things this morning?
Why
bro.
can't
double creepy, bro?
Why can't our biotech industry deal with that? Why do I now have to worry about a circle around bullseye before I go to the doctor?
My god, dude.
Is that something in
man.
Costa Rica you have to deal with?
Dude, just wear pants. Start wearing pants. No more shorts for you, dude.
I don't know if it matters, honestly. I honestly don't know if it matters. I don't know if it matters,
man.
But before we get started, I know you need to shave your bring a couple thoughts today on thing. I forget where we ended yesterday. You were going to talk about some things.
So we ended on China, and we ended on what's a solution for declining population, and nobody knows, like, right? Yeah, nobody knows. I mean, we're at this point in history where the world's never been through this kind of depopulation. What happens? And the reality, the question is, how do you make people hyper-productive? Because if you have less people,
I think,
you
bro,
still need to produce.
Hold up. I think we may be losing you. I think there may be problems with your connection to the internet there in the community facility.
All right, let me leave and come back then.
You're back now. All right, while you're there, I'll go through the pre-morning report. Just come back in.
Okay.
All right, everybody. And on behalf of Dimitri, we'll go through the pre-market report, see what's moving in the pre-market trading, as he likes to do every day, and we like to watch. Just kind of get an idea. I know SPY is up small in the beginning of the market. These are all the stocks, the biggest movers. He likes to bring it down to just the SPY. And right now we have more up than down. So I guess we're set for a slightly bullish open. At least it was up in the pre-market. Tesla, one of the big movers, CCL. I was noticing something this morning of interest. I know we're about, 2 weeks out from the main earnings season when we start to see earnings from the bank. But if you go to the landing page, it's alerting you to different stocks that are actually having earnings right now. So I saw one this morning. It was this GIS earnings tomorrow before the market. If you click on it, And then click down below. It gives a synopsis, some different earnings options strategies right here. You can see, click on it. And a bunch of different strategies that have been analyzed over the last, 12 earnings cycles come up. So you can take a look at that and kind of start breaking down some ideas if this is interesting to you. And obviously dig deep into the stock before you do anything. But I thought that was a nice workflow to get to these. To be honest with you, new features pop up all the time, and I hadn't realized the scroll in earnings coming through in the morning, which is really cool.
Nice
it is. And you're back.
I'm
so
back,
what were you going to say to the chameleons about your thoughts on China, the population or depopulation of the country? We were talking about it yesterday and giving examples of Japan, where it's already happened, and their houses that sit vacant and just deteriorate because there are not enough people to repopulate just the houses that are already built. So I'm assuming the housing market in Japan is probably pretty weak because of that. But, then there affects imports, exports, the world cycles. There's a lot of things going on with China, and chameleons, we're interested in your insights.
Well, I think the main thing is like, how do you get people more productive, right? And I think, we're looking at, we're talking through the thing that's made us exponentially more productive over the last, decade at least. And I think that's going to continue. But if you think about AI, and AI is really new, and obviously if you've used ChatGPT and kind of these first moves into it, it's very impressive. But if you think about the exponential growth of how effective you can be as an individual, and what that took over like a 20-year arc of a computer, basically taking away all these different jobs, which, you would have multiple people doing, your spreadsheets or typing or all these sort of things, can now come back to the individual, and the individual gets exponentially more creative and more productive. Think of AI on that same level, right? So we're looking at a larger kind of longer play here, but my gut says it's going to be a couple of guys in a garage that are going to do the things that are like amazing.
Wait. So you're saying the AI play isn't even yet priced into the public markets?
I think it is to a degree. Actually, I think it's somewhat overpriced in, like what we've seen with NVIDIA and stuff. They've maybe overpriced it in to a degree. So I think there'll probably be a bubble at some point in the AI market, and certainly in the VC funds. There's tons of money moving into AI. Most of those are going to fail because the reality is the barrier of entry, the moat, is almost invisible in AI. Like, I haven't seen a tech like this. It's so transformative, yet the moat is so narrow. You look at like what these guys are doing, and the cost right now to build these models is tens of millions of dollars, because you need all this compute power to build them. But it's like Moore's law in reverse, like the amount, or Moore's law in relation to price for them is exponentially going down. So the model that now costs $10 million to run and build is going to cost $1 million in a year, and then it's going to cost $100,000, and then it's going to cost $50,000, and it's going to cost $10, and you're going to run it on your phone. So what happens in that situation where there's not really a moat? And for me, what I see is, okay, well, how does it connect to me as an individual in my daily life? How can I use it? And how can teams and people use it across the globe? And you're looking at, well, who are the people that have these connection points? And for that, I go to the big dogs. I go to, Google, Apple, Microsoft, certainly Google and Microsoft in the AI space. You just think that these guys, Microsoft maybe right now has the edge because they're connected with the open AI guys, but Google certainly is right there with all the touch points that bringing AI into the average user and average worker's life seems to me like just the right play. Because they've messed up a lot of things in their history. But this is one where it's game on for them. I know about 3-4 months ago, they had this kind of all hands emergency meeting because they recognize this is a legit threat to them. And my gut says Google is able to figure this out. Could be
Well, I
wrong,
mean,
obviously, but yeah.
I know they had an emergency AI meeting and launched a product that they already had in beta.
Yeah, and the product's terrible, by the way, if you've used it. It is terrible.
But isn't that what
Literally
AI
terrible.
is? It starts
That's
and it
right.
gets better as it grows. I mean, and they've got plenty of users to
Exactly.
grow,
And so
right?
look, you and I aren't moving. We're not getting off our Gmail. People aren't moving that, right? You're still going to use YouTube, right? You're still going to use Google search, right? So it has those kind of three huge touch points that integrating AI into those solutions, it just makes sense. Like most people who are doing searching on YouTube, that's where they do their how-to searching, right? They do their how-to, and you already see it to a large degree on YouTube. If I push in, how to unscrew my light bulb, right? They've already done the thing. Well, they'll trim the video and give you that 30 seconds of a 5-minute video where the actual answer is. And I think that's going to get exponentially better to become not a search machine, but an answer machine. And that's the future of AI for Google in like the short term, right? But then we move into this idea of the virtual assistant where it helps you just do things like do your productivity tasks, make you a better human, more, able to get stuff done and do more. And at the end of the day, like that is the solution for a declining world population is we become all exponentially more effective and efficient and compete on a global scale.
Wow. So you're giving us some AI plays. We now know you and Dimitri, it's the one thing you absolutely agree on. You could almost get married on this subject, have an AI wedding. I mean, he's talked about AI for months now. And and very positive, in a very, positive way, he's been using it and it's been super helpful in his work. And I say using it, he's been using ChatGPT, which is basically the first time AI has been, let's say, available to the public, right? I mean, where, anyone who's not a deep machine learning programmer is using it can use it in their day-to-day life workflow, whatever it is. And it is, I've used it for different things and it is super helpful to get a start on an email, a project. It really is a useful tool and it's getting better. I mean, it's been around, I don't know, 6-8 months now for people like us. But
look, we haven't even started, right? It's like you can use it on a daily basis to like help you generate ideas. It's really good at that. But I'll give you a use case. Like a friend of mine is a musician. He has thousands of songs. He's been putting out a song a day for 15 years. So he's literally thousands of songs. And he just had a request by one of his for TikTok to put it on TikTok where he can earn revenue in TikTok. He had to do this process where he had to pull the metadata out of every single song, right? This would have taken him multiple days, like 20 to 30 hours to do manually. It's like right click, download, all this sort of stuff. He did it in 30 minutes with ChatGPT. A year ago, it would have been multiple days of his life to do this. That sort of efficiency, where he has no computing skills, he doesn't know how to write anything, but he can go into one of these AIs and the AI knows intuitively how to do this. That's the type of thing which is transformative. And like, we haven't even started. Like, it's just, we're day one.
It's still day one.
Day one. Yeah.
Well,
you can't even see, like, dude, a decade out, none of us have any idea how this is going to play.
Yeah, and it's funny because you mentioned the phone, right? And it's amazing to think 10 years out that the phone, we're still all looking down at our hands, right? With our hands arched. Something better has to come just on the mechanics of our interaction. Why does it have to be a phone, right?
Yep, exactly.
And I know, listen, I know they're working on it and Apple's done something, Meta's done something, Google's done something. Everything that's been done has been, nothing that anyone would gravitate to. But they are making like it's baby steps, right?
That's right. Exactly, man. The stuff takes years, man. It takes years.
So if there was one company in the marketplace that you would lean on, would it be Apple? Would it be Google?
No, it'd be Google.
I mean, Palantir is one that since its inception has referred to themselves as the biggest baddest AI player in the space, right?
Yeah.
And their stock has gone through a series of rallies and dips since its IPO, and it's still, I'm pretty sure, way below its IPO price.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, we're all making educated guesses, right? And this is why options is the best for this. But I mean, I like Google, but look, Google, that's with a big, huge grain of salt, because at the end of the day, those guys have screwed up so much, right? And, you know, can they pull it off? Like, they're in the best position in the world to pull it off, but will they? Like, it's a coin flip, really. Like, Google is at risk of losing everything, you know, but they could also maintain their position as, you know, the most powerful company in the world if they get it right. So we'll see.
Wait, are they the most powerful, or is Apple the most powerful?
You know, it's right there. They're neck and neck. But I go with Google still.
Or is Microsoft the most powerful?
No,
By
no.
most powerful, you mean are in front of the most eyeballs every day? Is that the most power?
That's not the most powerful for me. The most powerful is when they're they have, well, it's a tough one. It's that combined with touch points, how many times they touch the average person on a daily basis. And Google is right in that position. I mean, you just see, you know, anytime Google, you know, YouTube bans, I don't know, they ban the RFK interview with, I don't know, Joe Rogan or whatever, or Jordan Peterson, and they take down the video. You know, anytime that happens, you're reminded that, you know, this company, this one company is, you know, the controller of free speech in the free speech world. I mean, these guys control it. And, you know, a company like that has tremendous power in the United States and globally. Right. So, yeah, Google's right there. I mean, Apple can't do that. You know, Google can. If you control the speech, you control the people, brother. Isn't that right?
I guess. I mean, you always have to go so dark.
Bro, at the end of the day, that's why I'm bullish crypto, right? Crypto is the solution for this. I'm not saying it is now. I'm saying it can be. Meaning if we as humans ever want to take the power back and choose to, we can. We can do it today if we want to shift. Yeah. We don't have to shift. But if we ever need to, we can shift.
That's
funny, what crypto is.
Right at the start, when we started, you know, I started asking you what the last thoughts of the day were, what you were going to bring us this morning. And my favorite Chameleon from Naples, Florida said, Adam mentioned the world is coming to an end, ready to go. And that's, I think Mike has known you. I think this is the third or fourth day you've been on. And to be honest, Adam, my younger brother, is one of the most positive people I know. He doesn't think the world's coming. I mean, he just has some deep insight into things that he sees are going on in the world. Now, if it's going to affect, you know, right now it affects maybe a small piece of the population. The one thing is, does it spread?
Yeah.
And where you've lived in Costa Rica, I mean, you can maybe give a little backstory. I mean, there are so many people in Costa Rica, and I spent years when Adam first moved there, traveling and visiting, and this is before kids, before marriage, and you'd go to beach bars or run into people just out and about in the surf and stuff, and there were so many people who were like gold bugs, had fled the U.S. because they thought the U.S. was coming to an end. Yeah. And this goes back 25 years, right? And, you know, the closest thing we've had, and I've, you know, lived through 9/11. I mean, listen, I haven't been, we're a very fortunate generation where you and I sit. We've never been drafted, never had to go to war. It's been very selective, the wars we've been involved. So it's, you know, other than 9/11, the worst thing that's happened is COVID, right? Where the world just gets shut down. And if you had like normal people in America, if you had a business, you know, weren't allowed to come to it, right? If you own rental properties, people didn't have to pay, and there was no, you know, no payment coming for you. I read a story recently of a retiree who owns 4 properties in Oakland. She hasn't received a rent payment still to this day. Oh, COVID. She's like, you know, she's about to get repossessed on her homes. You know, it's really, you never thought that would have happened. But even with all that, you know, where did you come when shit got really bad?
Yep. Yeah. No, I've said many times.
Came back to America, right?
In private conversations, the COVID highlighted small countries, like I'm in Costa Rica, I got a buddy in New Zealand. These small countries where very homogeneous kind of population, that population moves one way, and if you are alternative or don't believe in the way it's going, tough luck. You're out of luck. And so, actually, at this point in time, I feel like the U.S. is actually the best hope. Because of the 50-state system, and people can battle and fight it out and try alternatives. It's pretty clear the U.S. handled it the best. And I've got friends all over the world, and certainly the U.S. system, while the most, vocally combative with themselves, that battling, that fighting amongst the different 50 states and all the people is actually a strength, and definitely not a weakness. It's a strength. Because I'm telling you, like I've told people in Costa Rica, dude, you couldn't drive your cars on certain days. My wife made the mistake of driving on a Thursday when we weren't allowed to drive on a Thursday, and got the car repossessed for 6 months. But yet at that same time, we couldn't drive on Thursday, yet we could take public transportation with 30 people in a bus. Like, just nonsense, dude, full nonsense. And you know what? The rest of the country was like tough. And you couldn't, if you revolted at all, the social pressure was heavy. And you guys saw the social pressure. You see what it is. Look, all this stuff just exists. It can't be dictated by the government. The society has to buy in. Like, the only thing that's going to, cause these kind of like terrible things, Nazi Germany type stuff to happen, is people enforcing it. It's our own population. We're the ones who do it. It's not our government. Our government may ask for it, but we have to say yes. And the battling that takes place in the U.S., where we have this contrarian attitude, very individual based, like, dude, it's the hope of the world. Believe it or not, it is. I've seen it, and I'm very bullish U.S.
Very, very bullish U.S. So I guess all these U.S. based companies are the places.
Oh yeah, dude, for sure, dude.
To get involved. And we did talk a little bit about the Chinese. I mean, you can invest in a lot of Chinese companies, but be very careful. Something happens, something goes wrong. And we were bringing up obviously the population crisis. I mean, things like that, to get the population not thinking about what's going on, and when things get bad, it's a good time to move on to the battlefield, right? We've seen that before. So, just always a lot going on. Hopefully cooler heads will prevail, that there's never anything like that happens, but just something to be aware of, and to look for protection, and look for plays where you can limit your downside and know exactly what you make on the upside. And that's where options can be helpful. I guess we're like 7 minutes away. I did have one last thing. Maybe this will generate a thought. My friend Laurent shared, he's got a Think Vig shirt coming in the mail. He shared a picture. That's his solar installation.
Ooh,
so
nice,
his 2 Teslas, and correct me if I'm lying, I think Laurent's still on, but all the power for his Teslas comes from the sun. And,
wow.
This technology here, hopefully it keeps getting better and better and better. And, it would be obviously a huge game changer as well. I know there's problem with the minerals, the mining, the dispose, there environmental problems too, but it
the
does.
Child labor.
Oh, stop.
Hey man, children make great workers, bro. I'm a big believer in child labor, brother. Wait, where's that house? Is that US or is that Europe?
That's take a guess. Where do you think?
That looks like Scandinavia to me.
It's Belgium.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, you hear stories about, wanting to put, well, we have a buddy in Connecticut who was in the process of putting it on his roof. And it was a little bit of a challenge from a regulatory perspective. And we've all heard the, stories of California, who's supposed to be the most, bullish green energy. And it takes 2 years to get all the regs and permits in place to put it on your house. It should be, in theory, you'd want this to be a 15-minute process, right? Or zero process. You just do it, right? Like if you want to put, solar on your roof, there's zero regulations required. You just do it. But, It is what it is. I know you've touched on that a couple times. You've
I
priced
have.
her out.
When I first moved to Bucks County, I was thinking our electric bill was super high, air conditioning, square footage. We have a pool. So all those things add. And I looked at it numerous times and I couldn't get the numbers to work. And I was still paying, I would only get like 50%. And they were like, well, the panels, they improve it's like and I forget the law, but with chips, there's a law about how they're able to,
Moore's law.
Moore's law, able to process faster every 2 years. And that, I read somewhere that was going to happen with the solar panels.
Right. So better to wait till 2050.
One thing's for sure, the price has gone up. The first bid I got was like 25 grand.
Yeah.
The next bid, like 4 years later, was like 45. Last one I got, and it was from Tesla's arm. It was like they looked at it online. They're like 120 grand. I guess
you get a free Tesla truck with that, bro.
this solar is not going to work out with me. Actually, I just noticed, and I have to share the picture from Lauren's house again. I really appreciate the fact that he's a basketball player.
Still got the hoop there, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. NBA Spalding hoop. That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing, Lauren. Thanks for Chameleons. Special thanks to my brother for coming by and making an interesting show today. We're I guess maybe 2 days before Dimitri comes back. So we got 2 more days with Adam. So any questions, you can email support@MarketChameleon.com. You can follow Adam on Twitter at I'm an NFT freak.com. What is it?
AdamAMcBride.com.
Adam A. McBride at Twitter. And it's a rise in, he brings political viewpoints, NFT stuff, lots of interesting thoughts. And he's always there to answer questions. Well, you were telling me last week, actually, for those who are unfamiliar, on Twitter, there's something called a Twitter space.
Yeah.
And it will pop up on your Twitter if you're following people and they're in a space. And it's basically a forum where people can just present ideas, communicate, pitch product, whatever. And
it's like a live podcast, but for groups.
And Adam was telling me about one he was on with an NFT. It was a day. Explain it real quick. What was going on?
Which one was this one?
It lasted like 10 hours.
It was
like a 10-hour.
Yeah. So we had, it was coming. I'm into this thing called Bitcoin ordinals, which are like NFTs on Bitcoin. And it's exploded over the last, 6 months. And I was there right at the beginning with the guys who basically founded the protocol and stuff. And so they were coming up on 10 million inscriptions. So basically 10 million NFTs were minted. And we started the space because it was a scheduled space, at 8:30 in the morning. And, one of my, partners who runs the space was like, there was like 20,000 away from being 10 million. He was like, we're going to keep this space open till we hit 10 million. What he didn't recognize was that everybody stopped minting these NFTs because they all wanted to try and shoot for that 10 million, get the number 10 million, mint the NFT, get the number 10
because
million.
In theory, that would make the NFT maybe even more valuable.
More unique. Exactly. And
those
so
grannies who are collecting NFTs.
Yeah. So literally everybody stopped minting the NFTs. So the minting crawled to a halt, so what should have taken an hour to mint those other 20,000 basically took 10 hours.
Someone had to be doing the math where they're if they want it that bad, they just rush through the last,
Well, that's what they did. You had, basically 10,000 NFTs minted in, basically it all gets put in one Bitcoin block. And so, yeah, it's a big race. You can't really game it that much other than making sure you're in that block. And then it's kind of random, but yeah, it's good fun.
Now, just out of curiosity, did that NFT with the 10, whatever, the millionth print, did it actually reset? Is it out there?
I have no idea. I'm sure it is. I have no idea. I don't really track daily prices. I don't worry about that.
Well, here we do at Market Chameleon. Just not when you're on the show. But we did now hit the open and the bell's about a minute away. Again, thanks everyone for joining. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Thanks, guys.